Welcome to Turning Hard Times to Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and as usual, I'm speaking to you from the borough of Queens in New York City. It is the 20th day of December 2022. Before I talk more about today's show, let me remind you that I am the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, and the focus is mostly on the junior gold mining shares, and they're getting a bit more interesting today with gold up over $30 as we speak. Silver just blasting to higher levels. So it's a very interesting and I think a great time to be considering subscribing to my letter, Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks. We do cover some energy and tech stories as well, but primarily it's focused on gold and silver. Mine exploration companies, but not only. We have some smaller gold and silver producers that I think are going to be just stellar performers because they have a lot of growth that are part of their story as well. To sign up for my letter, go to miningstocks.com, miningstocks.com. Also like to plug Chen Lin's letter, What is Chen Buying, What is Chen Selling? Go to chenpicks.com. Chen also focuses on gold and silver exploration stories, but one of his fortes that he's done extremely well with over the years is the emerging biotech stories, and some really exciting ones. Amyris Inc., for example, one that I cover in my newsletter, Chen has also talked about on this show. A very, very interesting story. As I've mentioned recently, there will be some changes to this show, and to keep up with those changes, I would suggest you go to jtaylormedia.com. That's J-A-Y taylormedia.com. Also, I will be involved on Twitter, letting people know what I'm doing and when changes are being made. You can follow me on Twitter, where I make comments about the markets and other things from time to time as well. jtaylormedia is my Twitter handle. Do want to thank all of you for listening to this show, making it one of the more popular shows in the Voice America Business Channel. Also want to invite you to keep your questions and comments coming along. Send them along to questions4taylor@gmail.com. Questions, the number 4, taylor@gmail.com. And of course, we do want to thank our sponsors. Without them, there would be no show. Our sponsors today, Irving Resources, Novo Resources, Gold Bull Resources, El Oro Resources, and Timberline Resources. Well, I got a little email from my friend Jeff in Vancouver, and I quote what he said. Jeff says, I happen to be catching up on some Twitter news when this Bank of Japan news hit last night. Gold popped $7 an ounce in seconds, and today is following through as the dollar and the U.S. Treasuries are being sold hard. As usual, gold and silver are the lifeboats to the other side of this galactic battle, end of quote. Well, so it is certainly today one of the biggest days up for gold and silver. As I was getting ready for the show today at around 12:40, gold was at $33 at a 1.84%, and silver was really going gangbusters. It was up over 5%, 5.09%, up to 24.13. Actually, as I look at the screen right now, silver is selling at $24.16. That's up 5.23% today. Well, I want to talk to our guests today to get their take on the move in gold and silver, and also to get a sense if they think this is the start of a major separation of real money, that is gold and silver, from the fake stuff, the counterfeit money that we and virtually all people around the world are forced by their respective governments to use. One thing I know for sure is that the United States and all global economies are in big trouble because all countries around the world have been forced to use this fake money, which is basically manufactured with debt. And so debt is piling up around the globe to such a degree that it can never, ever, ever be repaid. And the only way it can be settled is through inflation or just default and massive bankruptcies and depressions. Anyway, it's really, of course, always the propagandists are trying to put the best face on everything that's bad. But with respect to the problems that seem to be headed our way, at least to those of us that live in America, I think the following quote from David Stockman's December 13 article provides a good hint of the unpleasant things that are likely to come. And I quote David Stockman as of December 13th. He said, so the talking heads of bubble vision think inflation is abating. But what about this? Federal revenues in November posted at $252 billion. That's 10.3% below last November, while spending came in at $501 billion. And the latter included an ominous increase of 53% in federal debt service costs compared to a year ago. That's right. After 2.5 years of so-called recovery from the lockdown, recession of Q2 2020, and unprecedented monetary and fiscal stimulus, Uncle Sam's November receipts barely amount to 50% of Washington's $500 billion eruption of federal largesse, free stuff, pork, and war making. In exactly what universe, therefore, is this not inflationary? End of quote, David Stockman. So, how is this not inflationary? We're going into debt. The debt can never be repaid even as it stands now, but we're piling debt on top of debt, not in a straight linear progression, but in an exponential progression. And you have to believe that somewhere along the line there's going to be some sort of a breakdown. In other words, no matter, it seems, what the politicians, the media arms try to spin it, as we enter 2023, it certainly looks like we are heading towards some very deep doo-doo. And so I have titled today's show, Seeking Shelter from the Impending 2023 Recessionary Storm. Well, Lynn Alden was scheduled to be my guest today, my main guest today. She published an extensive report to her paid subscribers about a week ago, or maybe a little longer ago than that. I'm not sure exactly when it was. And it was titled Defensive Assets Deep Dive Analysis. In that report, she provided her macroeconomic views as well as how the markets are likely to respond to them. She also addressed the impact of massive zero-COVID lockdown policies on Chinese and global markets and what an apparent reversal of those policies might mean on global commodity prices if, as expected, global economies stagnate in 2023. Unfortunately, Lynn was unable to join me today due to some family issues. She was kind enough to let us know in advance, so we were able to get my good friend John Rubino to join us today to fill in for Lynn. And quite frankly, I don't know of anyone better able to substitute for Lynn Alden than John Rubino. John will be with me in the second half of today's show. And actually, to get some thoughts on the questions that we seek answers to in today's show, we will be talking to Michael Oliver. Just in a couple of minutes now, because we do have to take our first commercial break. But don't go away, because when we come back, Michael Oliver is sure to have some very interesting things to say about today's pop in the gold and silver price, as well as a whole lot of other market events that are taking place. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Michael Oliver.